We're back. Discipline to Win, episode 20. So special edition today. So we have a special guest, Gabriella VIRAGOVA, which is our chief of staff and partner in crime for everything business that we do. Gabby has been a special person that has come into Nick and I's lives over the last year, who has a incredible story of, you know, a million hurdles that she's overcome in her life to get to where she's at today. And we're going to dive into everything about Gabby, who she is as a person, her character, her attributes, and how she's become successful in her life. And I think a lot of people are going to be able to take a lot of value from Gabby and apply it to their lives to get through any tough situation they're dealing with. So Gabby, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited and honored to be here. So I appreciate it. And I'm excited to get into everything.
For sure. So Gabby has accomplished a lot in a short amount of time. She always tries to wear the mantle of being like the old person in the office, even though she's literally like 4 years older than me. So Gabby, I guess just start with the very beginning. So Gabby is from the Czech Republic. So I guess sort of start with that part of your life and, you know, sort of what does it mean to you to like have that heritage and that background, and just if you want to talk like that whole journey of the beginning of your life.
Yeah, of course. So we moved here when I was 12 years old. I was in the 6th grade, and my parents just came to me and my sister a couple months after. They were like, oh, you're going to have a brother, which is going to be 12 years younger than you, and said, we have other news. We're going to move to the United States. And at that point, I was so frustrated. I was frustrated with my dad because I just got to an advanced school in the Czech Republic. I was in track. I had my friends. You're in 5th grade. You are thinking, you know, you have your whole life ahead of you. And I was angry. But I understood that we needed to go in order for my dad to do his job, because it was either that or moving from like a country to a country, which was not something that was just sustainable for the kids and my mom. So his offices were here in Pittsburgh, and we moved here. I did beg, and I asked, can I like live with my grandma? Can I stay? And we made a deal that after 1 year, if I want to come back, I can. So we moved here with 8 suitcases. We each had 2. And it's crazy to say that because it wasn't like back in the day. It was literally, 2001, 2000. And we rented a small townhouse in Plum, but my parents wanted us to go to Franklin. So my mom, we started school. We moved here. We started school. My mom would drive us every morning to Franklin Regional. We knew we had to move to Murraysville in order to kind of go to school there. But we were looking at places. We found a place. We started school. I was going to school and I was coming home with migraines. I did not understand. It was just so much to intake every single day, and I was the odd man out, right?
So in Czech, did you have any English before you got here at all?
So we did have English like 1st through 5th grade. You could pick English or German, I think, or just English and German. And we did, but it was like, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
So and
basic.
And it was British English too that you were being taught, which is different. And so leading up to moving here, my dad did do like private courses for us, but it was such a short amount of time. And I always say, like, you will never be able to speak a language unless you live in the country. You can speak it, but you're never going to be able to like grasp the concept of just the conversation, the day-to-day, properly if you don't spend time in the country you're trying to speak that language. And so 6th grade started. I was the odd man out, Murraysville, Pennsylvania. Very not a place where like New York, where a lot of people
not very diverse.
Yes, not very diverse. And so I didn't understand anything for a very long time. And when I did, it would be like, oh, do you have electricity in the Czech Republic? Oh, do you have cars in the Czech Republic?
Like
and
you're coming from like a third.
Because people in America like are extremely sheltered of like they think every other country in the world, when you're that young especially, is like literally third world.
Right. And like a lot of people didn't even know where the Czech Republic was. It was like, you're from Russia. And that's obviously Czech is Eastern European, but it's different countries. And so after a year with just coming home and sleeping, headaches and all of that, I kind of made that decision to move forward. Like I did not want to move back, but I knew something had to change. And a lot of it was like my brother was 8 months old, so I watched a lot of TV with him, like little kid TV where it's very simple. His books were like Jane jumped over
like
the bridge.
Sesame Street.
Yes. And that's where I picked up, I think, a lot of just the basics. And I also stopped being so resentful and hesitant of being here. It was like, this is your situation. This is where your family is. Like, this is what your dad is doing, because we came from nothing, honestly. And he is growing his career, and you're not just going to like dip out on your team.
Yeah.
And another thing I had was I played volleyball in the Czech Republic. So in 7th grade, I tried out for the volleyball team because you don't really need to speak the language to play volleyball. There's a couple of terms. And I made the team, and that got me involved a little bit more. It got me engaged with a lot of different people outside of just going to school and coming home and being like, what is this? And volleyball definitely helped a lot, just kind of immersing myself into other people's lives and like slowly forcing myself to speak and being a part of something. And I think that's a huge thing when you move here and you're like the odd man out and you want to be a part of something, you want to work towards a common like goal. And I've always had that in me, so that helped a lot.
I think there's a great takeaway there where we talk about it all the time as far as going at things with other people rather than alone. You're going to be better off to where like you found obvious value in that to where, you know, you now, instead of going at everything alone and being the odd man out, you now have your like people that are like there for you, you're there for them, and you can now build those connections. And it probably like honestly made you a lot happier, which probably made you like embrace everything more, right? Just having that community to be with.
And I felt less isolated. It was like I have something in common. I don't have to talk that much while I'm there because we're just playing. And it made me feel like, okay, I'm taking a step in the right direction. And with time, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, I have fully kind of like immersed myself into the school. I read a lot. I continued to just read simple things. One of the things I do to this day is I watch TV with subtitles. It helps so much. And I think a lot of people that English is their second language or any language is their second language, like watching TV with subtitles because it's so fast at first kind of lets you follow without following with hearing. Yeah. So, and I still do it to this day. I watch TV and I'm like, why aren't the subtitles on? It's not that I can't watch TV without it, but it definitely helped a lot. And it's something that just stuck with me throughout. And so that was kind of middle school. My dad traveled a lot. My mom was such an incredible human. She also moved here not speaking English and with 3 kids, an 8-month-old, and her husband started traveling right away. So she had a lot of just different hurdles to overcome as well. And she had to kind of be our voice and communicate, and people would look down on her and just kind of be like, what is she saying? And you can just tell when that happens. But she just, with grace, continued moving forward and did what she had to do. So that's where I would say my high school ended. I ended up joining the cheerleading team for a little bit, but then you can't balance both. And I was just ready to go to college. And at first, I wanted to go somewhere really, really far away. But in high school, I didn't get straight A's. So one of the things my dad said, and he really treated us like, I know you're in this situation, but you need to either get straight A's or if not, you need to work. So like in high school, I think in 10th grade, I got a job at Dairy Queen because I didn't have straight A's. Now, is it because of me or is it because of, English being my second language? I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
And going into college, I did not get a scholarship because my grades, I had like B's, A's, some C's. But I knew I did not want to take that on without having some kind of an offset. And my senior year, I started working at Redstone, which was a senior living community, and they had like a tuition reimbursement program. So as long as you're part-time, you get tuition reimbursement. So the way I made it work was, okay, I'm going to go somewhere close. I'm going to work 6 to 6. Saturday and Sunday, because Saturday will count with the previous Sunday. The Sunday after will count with the upcoming Sunday, and that's 24 hours. So that's more than part-time, and I qualified. So I went to UPJ. I really was there Monday through Friday, and then just went back every single weekend, and I worked 24 hours every single weekend. But I think that definitely made me who I am today from the start. I think my dad kind of saying, like, if you're not going to excel at academics, then you need to figure out how you're going to like work for your life.
Because I think, and that brings up a good point, because you, like, for everyone obviously that doesn't know, like, are probably the hardest worker I've ever met in my entire life. Like, from a pure just standpoint of like, we work super hard and you're right next to us, if not doing more all the time. And I think what we all have in common is at a very young age, we were all working a lot, like, because we had to, like, to where I think that develops you so much.
You mature faster.
You mature faster because
the three of us are like absolutely. 25, 29, and 34, but I'd say the three of us have maturity of like 60-year-olds.
Yeah,
like,
because
I feel like we've seen like a lot more
you
life in a short period.
Basically working full-time in college. Like, all summers I'm working 12 hours a day, and like, you're working 12 hours. Like, we all did that, and then it develops into our careers of taking that into it. And I think where a lot of young people, whether it be maybe they have more resources, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it is very important that, like, as a parent or as a guardian, that you're teaching your kids like the value of actually working hard and like what that kind of translates to in real life. So I'm glad that you spoke about that, because it aligns with what we talk about a lot of, like, we were working a lot when we were like starting at like age 14, like we were working, to where I think that helps into what we do now.
It does. It definitely shapes you into who you are, because those years are so crucial. And I think knowing that, like, okay, you have two options, right? But I was never a straight A student, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But then working and then seeing the day-to-day in different work environments, it definitely enhances everything that you're going through during those years.
And like, I was not a straight A student either. I honestly, like, I don't know any straight A students that have been extremely successful in any aspect of life. Like, straight A students, I think, are good at following a very specific task, and that only being able to like handle like one very specific thing and not being able to react, adapt, pivot, grow, make stuff work, figure it out, be juggling multiple things at one time. Like I think that sort of like wrecks straight A students' brains, to where I think that's why they do get sort of set into just doing one mid-level thing. So like, we talk about it all the time. We don't know nearly enough successful people. We want to just meet as many people as we can. But every successful person I know definitely was not a like straight A student. They all worked really hard from a young age. And I think that basically you probably had a lot of pride also, to where you're obviously trying to make a splash in this country. Like, you're here and you want to, you know, perform as much as possible. Did you have like a badge of honor, like of like your heritage and where you came from, that you wanted to like represent your country in a very positive light and like show up here and like be an extremely high productive person in society?
I think that, yes, I definitely wanted to come here. And one of the things that I feel like I did in Murraysville was like, not did in Murraysville, but I educated people about like people from a different country. They can be part of everywhere that you are. And I wanted to excel and always will want to excel, because I have seen from my dad how hard he has worked and continues to work to make our lives better. There's so many things that happen after college, which we'll get into, and that I could not be more grateful to have been here. And it's because of the choices he made. He's made choices to, you know, maybe not be there at 5 o'clock for dinner, but he'll FaceTime, and that's okay. Like we always say, we're just a FaceTime away. Like, my sister's on the West Coast, and he wasn't there, but he was doing so much more for us than just sitting at a dinner table. And
I think it's really mature of you, even at 34, to like make that assessment, because you hear so many people well into their 30s, 40s, 50s that are like, all my dad did was work and like he wasn't there, so they have this like,
and they blame it on him. It's like a victim mentality.
Yeah, it's like a victim mentality where you like have the maturity to see like, no, like he did that to move our family forward, so we would have additional opportunity, like additional pathways to be successful in our own life, rather than like I honestly, at the end of the day, don't think it's a dad's job to like make sure they're home to change every single diaper and to like do all of those things. I think it's like any leader of a family's job to like go out and like build and like win and be competitive in this world and to provide opportunity. And like you said, we'll get into a whole bunch of other stuff about it, but like, it's awesome for me as a dad to hear you really truly respect your dad and how much he worked and sacrificed for your family.
I do. I respect it. I look up to him. I think that his work ethic is just like, I've never met anyone with his work ethic. Now, it's a little excessive, but and
it's where you get yours.
I get mine. But he's also made it a point to always be present when he is with us. So maybe, yes, I see my dad a couple times a year, but he's present when he's there. And that's all that matters, right? Because I can call him anytime, talk to him about anything, and he doesn't need to be home for dinner. No. Like, even now, but even when we were younger, like, him and my mom had such a great relationship that she stepped in to kind of make sure that we are loved and cared about if he was not there. But we also felt it from him. So I have so much respect for how he works and everything he's done. And I don't think the choices were easy because, yes, they had me younger. They were 23, and that, you know, I know that's not that young, but still, that's, in my opinion, because I don't have any kids yet, but I think it's younger. And he continued to make choices for our family, even when they might have not been the easiest ones to make. And I think me and all my siblings respect that. And I think we all have a lot of him in us. And we just want to continue kind of growing from what he's given us as this opportunity to grow, be here, and our options are unlimited. Like, if we want to do anything we want, we can go out and do it.
Do you think, like, looking back, you know, you still obviously have family in Czech, you go visit them, you're going in literally, I think, like a week or so to go over there to visit for a few weeks. Do you think that your dad taking that risk and, you know, uplifting you and your family to come here, do you think you and your siblings have all had much more opportunity being here than if he would have just decided to stay there?
I honestly think so. I think so because I think that as he worked and moved forward, he was able to provide resources for us to grow more at an age where he was not able to grow.
Yeah.
So
because he was still successful there too. You know, like that's how like he basically got the opportunity here, was working really, really hard there.
Yes, he was. And I think that he has definitely given us an opportunity in so many different aspects of life to choose what we want to do, choose how we want to live our lives, and choose where we want to live our lives. And I think it was done through some of the sacrifices he had to do. Maybe they weren't like noticed on the surface, but there were decisions I'm sure that he made that were just harder than what they seemed. But we all understand it and respect it.
Yeah, which is
so
awesome.
With that mentality, you finish up at UPJ, and like, where did you kind of take that mentality that you had from your father and start taking it into your own career?
So I wanted to either move to Chicago or New York. I got an interview for an EA position in New York. I knew nothing about being an assistant, and definitely not much about New York, especially New York real estate. And I actually did get, like, I had an interview, got a job here in Pittsburgh at like a hotel. And that same day I was going to New York, and I had an interview there. It went well. And they offered me the job, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know what streets and avenues are. I don't know what the West Village is. I don't know what Soho means. I don't know how to be an assistant, but I'm just going to like take it and run with it. So my aunt lived in New York, and I kind of had to move fast. So I asked to stay on her couch till I find somewhere to live.
Yeah.
And I started the job, and I think a lot of it was just being open-minded and being like, it doesn't matter what you don't know, you're going to learn it, and you're just going to work with every single day what you have. Like, this is what you wanted, Chicago or New York. You're in New York. This is where you wanted to be. And I worked with the president and the head broker and the office manager at the time. And I took notes. I listened to the agents in the real estate firm. I watched how they operate. I was absorbing every single thing I could. And then I was in the city that never sleeps. Everyone works 80 hours. Like, if you don't, then you just don't belong there. Mm-hmm. They say it's the Peter Pan land. You never grow up. You work on your career. So I did that. I started, and I just, I stayed late. I came early. I learned the head broker and the president to make sure I can help. I worked a lot with the agents, and I would listen to them. I would listen to how they talk to clients. I would listen to just what they talk about. I started to go out and explore the city. So I learned that the avenues go this way, the streets go this way, and then below 14th Street, it's all names kind of on the west side. But I was just absorbing, and I was working with everything that I had from the day before, and the day before, really. And
you weren't like making a lot of money at this point of your career either.
No, I was getting paid.
Yeah, talk that point too, to where like you were happy to be there and the opportunity. The money was not there right away.
Yeah, and I think that's always like, you, in my opinion, you always can earn what you are capable of, but you don't necessarily need to start out that way. Like, I was straight out of college. Like, I was like not supposed to make any money, but I was making $600 a week, and
in like one of the most expensive places to live in the world.
So that was
how far did that go?
That went. I stayed on my aunt's couch for a little bit, and then I got an apartment in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn with a roommate, and that was $1,800 a month. So it was $900 each. So that was like 1.5 of my paychecks.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how big was this apartment?
I had no closet. My room fit a bed. So
at least you had a bedroom.
I had a bedroom.
Okay, that's a plus.
I had a window, zero closet space, zero dresser space, a green kitchen, a little living room, And it was like a third floor walk up.
But you probably spent no time there anyway, really.
I didn't
Yeah.
because we would leave in the morning to go to work, took the subway, and then if anything after work, you hung out in the city and then you went back. So there wasn't much time spent there.
Yeah.
And like we couldn't even spend time there. Like, oh, do you want to have friends over? Not really. Because like where are they gonna stay?
Yeah.
Where are we gonna be? But so I worked in that position for a while, and the office manager and I were good friends. She became my roommate. And there was a time where I was learning a lot from the agents, and I said, I'm going to get my real estate license because, like, I'm here with all of them, like 6-7 days a week sometimes. I see what money they're making. I think I could be good working with people. I know the city now. This was probably like a year and a half in. And I think there's just more I can do than come here and do not the same thing, because every day is a little bit different, but like also I wanted more for myself. And I was like, I want to try this. So I got my license and I went to my head broker and I said, you know, I want to be an agent. I'd like to be an agent here, but I understand if that doesn't work. And he said, nope, you can totally be an agent here. Which actually helped because me leaving that position enabled the office manager to get an increase. So, and I became an agent. You start with rentals in New York City, and then you move into sales. So I started with rentals, and one of the things that I learned very early on, there's a lot of rental agents in New York City, and there's a lot of misinterpretation of like what is out there and what's real. And I decided that while I'm working through the rental time, I am going to be very transparent. Like I don't want to do any of the things that you hear, like bait and switch and
shady deals.
So, and I was like, I would rather have 5 clients that like actually value me knowing the city and what's out there, and tell them like, this is not what exists. This is what like this is what you're looking at. Then, you know, try to finagle some kind of a deal. It's just like I wouldn't be able to go to sleep at night. And so I started working in rentals, and I think the first few months I was like one of the top 10 agents in the firm.
What do you make on a rental?
It just depends how big it is. So anywhere from like, it's like the 1 month's rent or 15% of the annual rent. So
it's like you cash up front as soon as the lease is signed.
Yes. And
so like the building pays that, or the owner of whoever's
either the building or the tenant. It honestly depends, but you have to communicate that up front.
Yeah.
And then as I was in the industry for a little bit, and then I moved into sales. I was like, I really want to do sales. So I've, you know, worked with Zillow and StreetEasy, which are 2 main search engines for like real estate in New York City, because I didn't know anyone. So like, how can you be a seller's agent when you don't know anyone? To work with buyer's agents. And I started that, and it's very similar but different than the rentals. It's a lot more involved than anywhere I think in the country, because you're working with the mortgage lender, you're working with an attorney, you have condos, you have co-ops, there's boards that you have to get the client through. So it's very involved. And then people in New York work a lot. So you're available at 5 a.m. You're available at 11 p.m. And you're picking up documents if you need hard signature whenever it's convenient for the client, wherever it is. Like, is it Trader Joe's? Is it at a dinner they're at? You work for the client, and you make sure that it's as easy as possible on them, because to begin with, New York real estate is so complicated. It's not like, it is complicated. And I think for first-time buyers, it can get scary, and it's good to have someone that will just like guide you through, like, this is what's happening, this is what's next. And you come across different conflicts, and it's like your job to figure it out. The client doesn't stress like you stress for them to continue to like go about their day. They're purchasing this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money they're spending. So it's like on you to carry that and make sure it all works at any time of the day. So like Saturdays and Sundays are as valid as Mondays and Tuesdays, honestly. And I worked in sales. I started a team with a colleague of mine because she did a lot of sales as well. And we had a lot of rental referrals that we just could not allocate the time to. So we started a team together, and it was good because she had strengths, and I think I had some strengths, and we worked really well together. And in the meantime, we were able to offset the rental clients or smaller clients to the team.
Yeah.
And, but like training them and making sure that they're working the way that we want to work. And
was this at the same agency that you started?
No, so I left my previous firm to go to a different agency that had a little bit more sales background experience and advertising.
It's probably similar to the wealth industry, where it's basically all about like payout, it's about referral, it's about probably resources.
You got to see who has the resources. Yeah.
Is it really similar to what you see now with everything we do?
I'd say so, definitely. It's every firm provides something else in the city, and it's just like depends where. Like at the end of the day, it matters what brand or what company you're with, because there's a corporate reputation that comes with it, right? So you just want to set yourself up with someone that you want to be represented by. Not that people really look at the end of your email because they're working with you. And a lot of my clients worked with me on referral basis, so they probably didn't even know where I worked, or they were new home buyers, so they didn't really know what agencies there are. But I was very comfortable and happy where I was. And so that was real estate. And then
before that, though, the last question about the real estate. One of the most popular shows on Netflix right now is obviously Oni Manhattan. We were just talking about the other day with Ryan Serhant. Did you have any experience in the city with like Ryan or any of his people before you left?
I did. I met Ryan, like, I would say 7-8 years ago at an event.
Okay.
He was definitely not where he is now, but he was working towards it. And I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's really changed a lot of the real estate, just life in New York City. He's always like worked hard. I did work with Nest Seeker. Back then he was with Nest Seekers before he started Serhant. But I worked with some of the agents, extremely professional, extremely knowledgeable. And he has always had that, I'm going to take it far.
Yeah. Like I saw like they just did like $1 billion in sales last month.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah, they're crushing it.
But he works hard. Like he gets up, I bet at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and he's going to bed at like 11, 12. He has a beautiful family. And I think he definitely had a vision, and he's living through it now.
For sure. I think it goes into like manifestation. Like he manifests, I'm going to be the top brokerage in New York City. And like, I'm sure he does not know how he's going to get there.
Yeah.
But he's just taking action every single day towards that. And I think that's like part of anything in life.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. But so fast forward, like everyone I can't believe it's actually been 4 years, but COVID, like obviously New York City got a ton of publicity for people like fleeing the city during COVID. What was that experience like? And what did you do?
Well, I was with clients. I don't know if it was like a Tuesday, and they like were saying that someone that they went to dinner tested positive for COVID. And I was like not up to speed about where everything's going yet. But I went home, and I think the following day there was something on the news like they might shut down New York City, like the bridge and the tunnels, and I have a little dog. And so I called my mom and I said, I'm going to just rent a car and come home just in case. Like, I don't want to be isolated. So I packed a bag and came home, and it ended up being a lot longer than just a week. And when they slowly started opening things back up, because we did have clients, I was kind of going back and forth as much as needed to. But my lease was also up, and I was like, well, I don't know where this is going. So I put my stuff in storage in New York City, and I was like, well, whenever this gets sorted out, probably throughout the summer, I'll come back and just get a new apartment. At this point, I can fly back and forth. It's no problem. And I was here for most part. I started thinking, okay, well, you said that you would be in New York for like 10 years. It was like 9 years at that point. If this isn't going to like rip the Band-Aid off, you're not going to move back here, and you're going to continue to live in the city. And is that what you really want? And COVID did put a lot of things into perspective. And I think I was just like ready that the choice was not made for me, but it was kind of like, this makes sense right now. Yeah. But I wasn't 100% sure. So I started looking for jobs, but I was still flying back and forth from New York. And I actually got an interview at my previous firm, a private aviation firm, and it sounded like something I could work in. It was a little bit different in different ways, and it was an EA position. It was in private aviation. I figured I would learn the industry, but like operations wise, like I've been an EA before. Then I worked really on my business as a real estate agent. Yeah. You're the one who decides to who makes the money, and no one's telling you like what to do. You don't have quotas to hit. And then this was a new industry, but I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And we'll see. We kind of had, let's see if it works out on both ways first. And I wasn't really afraid because I was still going back and forth, and I didn't fully like disconnect in New York yet. And I took that job, and I was like, okay, I think I will really like this. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that I think I can add value to. And it's a definitely different environment, but it's fast paced. It's like back home. It's going to be challenging, and let's just give it a try. Like worst case scenario, I'll figure it out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's when I stopped with real estate, kind of let everyone know that I'm done. I moved my stuff from New York City storage to back home, and I started the job at my previous firm.
And I think that's a testament to it of like just getting out and trying something. Like you knew always in the back of your mind, like I could go back to New York City and be a real estate agent if I wanted to. Like you always have that to fall back. It's the same people with like, they're taking the leap from like corporate to like small organization, or like corporate to starting their own business. At the end of the day, people will always be hiring. Like large firms will always be hiring. You could always go back and be a real estate agent. You can always go back and like have the cushiony job, but like there's not many opportunities to take the leap to go into something new. And I think that's what you did of taking into, because the private aviation company was like less than 100 employees. Like you're going from a massive market to a much smaller market, but a lot more opportunity there. So I think that's a testament. I think people have trouble with that, of actually making that leap out of like biggest market in the world, large, like real estate agent, whatever, and then you're going into like smaller private company. But I mean, as we've seen, that's really where the opportunity is.
Yeah, like the largest corporations, like that, their tremendous growth has already happened.
Yeah,
like you can join that team, and unless you're just like a 1 in a million, you're not going to be anybody. Mm-hmm. But you come and add tremendous value to a small team, and you can be like the person there. Yep. And there's so much more opportunity, and then you can build it into something large. So you like worked your ass off like when you got to the private aviation company, and like continued to like build and help that company grow. And then like you got hit with a life-changing event, if you would like to share what sort of happened next.
Yeah. So, yes, I did start there and I learned a lot there. I learned different management styles. I learned to work for someone again because before that, for 9 years, I was not really working for anyone. And I learned the value of just company and people and the need to just, oversee things and make them better in a sense. And it was about 3 years in, and it was a busy time. And I had a health issue. I found a lump in my left breast, and I was like, well, this is weird. So I went to the doctor, and they kind of pushed me off, which, you're young, you have no breast cancer, like schedule a mammogram, schedule an ultrasound. So I called to schedule right away, and they said they had something available in like 2 weeks. And I called my mom that day and crying, and I said, like, imagine if I had cancer right now. Like, I have 2 weeks to wait to get a mammogram. And she was like, well, it's okay. I went to see another doctor, and she kind of was like, something's not adding up here, so let's get you in. So in a matter of 3 days, I was getting a mammogram and an ultrasound with an emergency biopsy all of the sudden. And I really did not know like what was happening, but I remember when they called in the doctor and were like, we're going to do an emergency biopsy. I was like, do I have cancer? Like, that was my first question. They were like, we can't answer anything. Like, we're just, you have to wait for the results. And I was like, okay. They were like, did someone come with you? I was like, no, I thought it was like a cyst. Like, that's why I'm here. And that was, I think, a Friday. Yeah, that was a Friday. And then they said I'd have results by next week. And I knew something was wrong at that point, but I just like could not figure it out. So I had a moment where, I went out and was like, what's going on? Just like a moment to yourself. Like, let's kind of numb the pain, I guess, which is not a proper way to cope with anything. And then Saturday and Sunday, I was researching breast cancer. Like, okay, let's see what symptoms I have. Where am I? Like, and I couldn't find anything. So on Sunday night, I said to my mom, I don't have any of like, I literally looked up every single breast cancer. Nothing adds up, but something is wrong. And she was like, well, we'll see. On Wednesday at like 7:26, actually, I got a call, and my doctor said, we got the results. The preliminary results are that you have lymphoma. And I gave the phone to my mom. I was like screaming. I was like, I didn't know. I wasn't educated. I didn't know what type of lymphoma, like what cancer lymphoma is. And I wasn't like really grasping what I was hearing either. And I think I was just in shock. I gave the phone to my mom. I don't really remember what happened. Other than that, I called one of my best friends, my boyfriend, and my previous boss, and I was like, I think it's terminal. I didn't know about lymphoma. I was like, I don't know. I have cancer. And I just sat there and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I kept repeating that for hours. It was like, I don't know. I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. We got some people connected to us, and they were like, well, it's preliminary. This is what lymphoma is. My PCP actually called me to be like, we'll have to wait. Everyone that I did or my mom spoke to said, well, like, let's hope it's Hodgkin's lymphoma, which like, that's not the right statement to make by any means, because there's no better cancer out there. But people were connecting other people in that they knew that had Hodgkin's and, you know, are now survivors. There's a lot of unknown about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so I was hopeful, but I was just sitting there. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. My dad was actually coming back, and I FaceTimed him, and he was on the plane. And he said, I'm coming home. And I said, I have cancer. He's like, I have to go. We're taking off. Which was like, looking back now, like the worst time to tell him. Yeah. But I think it gave him some time to also think about it. And, well, then they said it's not Hodgkin's. So we didn't really know what that means. We have not had cancer in our family. And I did get support and help from my previous firm to go get other opinions. I got second opinions. I went to Memorial Sloan Kettering. I went to the Cleveland Clinic. I went to UPMC because I was with AHN. So we were able to do all of that. And one of the worst things being diagnosed with cancer is not having answers. And I think that's what was so hard. Like, we have to stage you. Where is it? I hated my body. I was like, is it everywhere? Like, where is it? Someone, like, can someone see me now and check? You just don't know. And not knowing is the worst times, like waiting for those test results. So a lot of different places told us like what goes into the staging, and they, you know, I had to have the talk about freezing my eggs. Like, I didn't even know that came with that. And it's possible that you won't be able to have kids afterwards. And is that something you want? And you're like, I need to, like, and they're saying like, you need to get into treatment. I'm like, I have like limited time here, but yeah, that's something I would want. Yeah. It's something that's not covered by insurance, which I was very fortunate, and I am very grateful for where I was in my life. But it's very expensive. It's treated as like something you want.
Yeah, not like an essential.
Like an essential thing. Yeah. And there's a lot of women that I know that weren't able to do that before. So they ended up staging me and told me that I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was a type DBL double. I don't even remember right now. They diagnosed me with one type of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and they said there's two treatments, one and the other one. This one's like the worst sister of the little sister, but you can have the like easier one, the R-CHOP. So I had a plan, and at that point I was like, okay, I'm going to the doctor every morning at 6 a.m. to do my shots, to freeze my eggs. I have a plan. I'm starting treatment soon. I still have a couple things I need to get staged on, but we like have a plan. So then my doctor calls me and says, we send your lab, your biopsy to the NIH because it just didn't add up. You have Burkitt's lymphoma, which is very rare. Which changes like that are so hard to take when you're really holding on to, you know, what you're being told. So that changed my treatment to the 96 hours at 5 days in a row, plus like 8 hours immunotherapy. So all in total, I got close to 500 hours of chemo treatment.
Because they basically like nuked your body.
Yes.
And at that time, like when that's happening, because you are like a warrior, and that has like calloused your mind, everything that's led up to that point, like, was that the point where you're like in fight, like where you were truly in fight mode? Because obviously at that beginning, you're just assessing, you're feeling extremely bad for yourself, I would imagine. And like you're playing the scenarios, but at some point you had to switch that mindset into like, I need to fight like hell.
Yeah. At first I did. I was like, what the fuck just happened, honestly. And I did not, like, it wasn't reality. Like, I was like fine. Yeah, I was tired. I guess I had all the symptoms, but I was fine. And then there was a time, I think it was when I had my first bone marrow biopsy. And I laid there, and my mom gave me this little blue heart to hold on to, like, when I'm in pain. And they said, you know, we don't have time to schedule it to go under anesthesia. Are you okay to do a bedside? And I was like, yep. And I laid there, and I just remember, like, my mom sat there, and I was like, this hurts like fucking hell right now. And I, like, squeezed the heart, and I was like, you have to, like, there's so many people, your best friends, your family, like, you have to get it together. And no matter what's going to come your way, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be, like, sad. It's okay to be mad, but you're not going to feel bad for yourself because you're young and you're not 50 years old. And you, like, this is one of the worst treatments you're going to get. You're not going to read about, like, the side effects so you don't, like, come up with them in your head. But I think when you decide to, like, fight, it's more so about the people around you because you're already in that situation. And then there's everyone that loves you. And I was very, very fortunate that's, like, wants to take it away from you and wants you to be okay. You're nowhere near fucking okay.
Yeah.
But you letting them know how low you are is not going to help the energy around you. So, like, knowing that you need to just get through it, like, whatever it is, you're going to get through it, and, like, just go on through, like, next day and next day and next day leading up to, you know, treatment.
So you pretty much just took it a day at a time at that point?
I did. But I said from the, like, once I made that decision, and, like, I had to reflect back because I cried a lot, and every single morning, honestly, through treatment, I cried, but I would cry in my room and then go downstairs and say hi to my mom with a smile on my face. And
which honestly was selfless. I would say, like, if it was okay for anybody to, like, cry or feel bad about themselves, it was you. But you basically, like, you obviously knew everyone that loved you obviously was dealing with their own emotional battle, and you put theirs really in front of your own, is what it sounded like. Which, like, I would say probably takes an enormous amount of strength to be able to, like, at that time, put others still in front of yourself. And not to jump too much ahead here, like, from the Gabby that we know today, she puts everybody in front of herself, like, every single day. So, like, it doesn't surprise me that you did it then also.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think a lot of people put me, you know, like, really in their corner and, like, safeguarded me, but I knew that, like, the way I present my day to day, and I had bad days, and there were days that I could not, you know, I wish I probably behaved differently, but you're on steroids 24/7. You're getting literally nuked with toxic treatment, but I knew that my behavior will always affect everyone around me. And my mom was my caregiver. I needed a 24/7 caregiver, and she took a leave of absence after my second treatment when I ended up in the ER and on, I think it was morphine because of just complications. My dad ended up coming back and just working from here remotely. It sucks to say, but it was because just in case I didn't make it, so my mom wouldn't be here alone. But he did what he had to do, and I realized at one point that, like, pain, like getting a PICC line into here, just bedside, getting your throat biopsied bedside because you don't have time. You got to get protocoled in to start treatment. And, like, it's all pain that's, like, so temporary, right? And it's the bigger picture. Like, you need to get through, and you just need that PET scan. Like, you need the treatment to work. So one of the things that I don't like when people say, for example, now is like, oh, she lost her battle, or, like, she lost a battle to cancer. No, the treatment didn't work. We're all fighting, and every single person whose treatment didn't work, they all have fought really hard, but they didn't lose. The treatment didn't work. So like, it wasn't like, am I going to lose my battle? No, I'm going to fight like fucking hell. But it's like, is the treatment going to work? Because they don't have that data. They don't know. Everybody is different. You will have blood clots. I had blood clots. You will need blood transfusions, platelet transfusions. You're going to have allergic reactions where everyone's running to you. And like with one of those AED things, and you're like, you don't even know that happened. And then it happens and you let them put it back in. Like, I had a chemo spill one day, and like I stepped on my line because you're connected for 24 hours. Then you get like an hour, and then 24 hours again for 96 hours. And I stepped on my line going to the bathroom, and it spilled like a little bit. The nurses run in. They have their hazmat suits on. They're like, everything out of this room needs to be thrown out. I'm like, you're putting this in my body. Like this.
And like people can't like touch it. Yeah.
This is what's happening.
Crazy.
But I had incredible support, and I know I was very, very lucky with everything that happened. The treatment did work, and I hope it will stay, like it'll continue to work. It's definitely it's a physical battle because you can't always like, you can tell your body to do so many things, but like if it doesn't do that, it just doesn't do that. So that's out of your control, right? But like your mind is mostly in your control, and like the way you set your days. So like just knowing that you're gonna get up, and my mom was very good at this. Like when I was at the hospital for 5 days straight, I would be like, I just want to lay here with the lights off, like, and get through this. Nope. 9 a.m. She's in. Blinds up. Change your pants. I couldn't change my shirt because I had my pick line. What are we going to talk about today? And like 7 p.m. she's leaving. And, you know, I had other people come in and out to like release her. But I know there was times where I was like, she does not need to come. Like, I'm not okay. Nope. She's there, 9 a.m. blind. I'm like, keep the blinds down. Like, I have no energy. And like, it didn't matter. She was going to get me through it no matter what. And I can't imagine, and I always think and say, is that it was a lot harder for my mom than me. Because yes, I was in it, but I wasn't watching it without being able to do anything. I just had to follow instructions and like hope things would work. She was just watching.
Like someone who she loves more than anybody.
Single day. And when it was bad, she saw it. Like when it was bad, I barely remember. It was just part of the day. And so I always think, and she'll never say that, but like it must have been so much more harder on her than it was on me. But it was a journey that I, you know, crossed, and I hope I'm out of. I connected with a lot of incredible women through it on social media.
And what's the group called?
Lymphoma Ladies. And this is how I found them. #lymphoma. #young adult. Because every single support group that I was presented was unfortunately like people older than me, people with all types of different cancers. And as much as like cancer, you know, every cancer is different, so you can't relate with specific treatments. And it's also different relating to someone in their 20s and 30s than to someone in their 50s, because like once again, you're isolated. Like when I was in the 6th grade, when I didn't speak English, now you are isolated. You have cancer. So you are looking for that again. And I found Lymphoma Ladies.
What part of your journey was that you found them?
It was after my second treatment. I just knew mentally I was at a really, really bad place. And I was looking for, like, I had a therapist right from the beginning, and I believe in therapy. But I needed a sense of like belonging almost. Like that this happens. You're not the only one. And I found lymphoma ladies, and some of the girls were a little bit ahead of me with treatment. Some of them started around the same time as me, but like watching the girls that were a couple of treatments ahead was hope. And it was so powerful. It was like, I'm going to get there too. And it's not just going to be like what it is right now. Just like, and watching that and having the sense of connecting with them every single week and knowing like I went through that too, or like something similar happened, but like my hair's growing back. I'm going on a trip. I'm not immunocompromised. I can go to the store and buy groceries. Like, it was hope, and it meant so much. It was definitely a big driving force to just knowing to look at that when my days were really, really bad was like, okay, like it is going to be okay. You just have to believe it. I did get scared at the end, and my treatment did get cut short because my body was just done, which was, you look at it from like, and I don't want to look at it as a business like operation, but like you get your plan that you need to carry out, and then like your body gives out where you're getting transfusions all the time, and your doctor tells you we're not going to do the 6th treatment because it would just not end well for you. And you're like, and I failed, and now is the treatment going to work? And my like I learned to thank my body every single day, but at that point I was so angry, but I knew I also couldn't go any further because I wouldn't have just been there after that treatment anymore. And so that was definitely a difficult pill to swallow, to not finish treatment, but just doing research and being educated, and them doing what they did, I feel like it was enough. Like, and my body spoke up, like, you can't do any more.
Yeah. And now, like, you've had we've gone through all these changes in your life of like, and I would call them like perspective changes, and like, honestly, just you like rapidly maturing, like we talked about, to where like coming out of this, like how has your perspective changed again on life, and how have you matured as an individual of just looking at life from a way that a lot of people can't relate to when you're put in a situation where you don't know if you're going to survive or make it out of?
So I think my life has changed in a way where like it's not as easy to explain, but there's just things that don't fucking matter. Like, honestly, you want to work hard. You want to be the best person you want to be. And whether that's in your career, being a mother, being a father, being, whoever you are, you want to be the best person you want to be every single day. But there are things that just don't fucking matter, because in literally less than 3 days, you can be stripped of all of that. And you're just a human looking in the mirror and facing death, and you had this whole life ahead of you, like semi-planned out, right? This is what's going to happen. Yep. I'm going to do this. And it gets taken away immediately. And that can happen any day to anyone. And it's not just cancer. Unfortunately, bad things happen to everyone. And I think just knowing that I think there are a lot of items people talk about their relationships, about their family, at work, that are just not as important as you think. Like, going home and knowing you did the best you could that day and you did right by everyone and you're fulfilled is enough. Yeah. And that can entail so many different things. It doesn't have to be work related, but you get, like, once you're stripped of every single thing, including your hair, like, you're just like, anything can happen. And like, things may not always be as big of a deal as you would think. And I used to, I think, overthink a lot of stuff and just want to kind of plan things a lot more, but that's not necessary. Like you're on borrowed time. Everyone else is. Like who you are every single day is what's way more important than what plans you have 5 years from now. Because guess what? That can be taken away.
Yeah,
totally.
And for no reason, like for reasons that we don't even know. Like what you have planned in 12 months. And I know like 12 months is short, but like that can be taken away. So like, are you a good person? Are you honest? Are you loyal? Are your morals in the right place? Are you doing the best you can in whatever aspect in life you are? Good. Then you can go home and go to sleep, and like tomorrow's a new day. But like day by day, and yes, people can plan vacations and things like that, but not everything's as serious as I think a lot of people think. But because it can get all taken away in a very short amount of time. But at the same time, like getting a second chance, and like I've told you guys this, like I left my obviously previous job, and I wanted something where it would be like a good environment, a positive environment, somewhere where I can add value. And I wasn't sure. You guys honestly, you took a chance on me before I even knew where I was. Like our interview was so early on, and I was like not there yet, but you like
well, just a
believed
testament to
me.
you. It was literally the day after, right? That you like it was very close to when you pretty much found out like, okay,
it was
good for the time being.
I had my PET scan the morning after my interview, and I think we interviewed Wednesday, and Friday I found out that I was cancer free.
Yeah, which is when you took the job then. Because I remember the interview, me and Nick like left, and any like EA, like I always ask about their personal interests and everything like that, and Gabby's like, yeah, like I like have none, like I love to work. And me and Nick, that's like our biggest interest. So we were like, okay, this could be like fantastic, but like she's probably full of shit. Like who else like loves to work? But at the same time, we were both like, I'm pretty sure Nick said she's gonna be a savage.
That's the first thing
is what he said to me, and I was like, I have the same feeling. It was like, I'm pretty sure I called you and offered you the job that night.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
And
I
so, like, she was excited.
I was so excited.
Yeah. So then I got out the offer letter the next morning, and then like she's not sending it back, and I'm like talking with Nick. I'm like, damn, we're fucked. Like she like somehow was like backing out. I'm like, this was like gonna be perfect. Little did we know, we didn't like know at all like what was going on. And then you got the good news, and then you're like, okay, like I'm good. And then Gabby from that point was like all in. And like from my perspective, you showed up, were willing to do absolutely anything, wanted to learn as much as possible, and like honestly, like you just progressed so fast, and has like you've like made your mark here and your place here, and like are helping us like honestly like take over the world and everything we're trying to do. So it has been an incredible, we're getting like close to 12 months already, which is a blur.
Yeah.
I know.
But it has been like a super fast, incredible journey, and we could not be happier that you have like chose to go on this journey with us.
Yeah.
I'm very happy you guys believed in me when I did not even believe it. I don't think in myself yet. I was still like getting back there.
Yeah.
I did believe in myself, and I wanted more, but you did believe in me. That night we had the interview a lot more because I was so unsure, like back to did the treatment work, right?
Right.
And Friday when I found out, because I wasn't going to start a job where I would have had to. Yes. And Friday, as soon as I got my results, I was like, yes, I'm going to reply right now.
Yeah.
And it's been my second chance, and I've always liked to work, and I've said that, and I couldn't work during treatment. I was sick to the point where my mind did not operate.
Yeah.
And I missed that. I wondered for a very long time, even shortly after, like, is my mine going to get back there? And I feel like it is. And I see it here. And I feel so thankful to be working with you guys. And I know we went to the beach the one day, and it's still in my head. Like, I was like, I love my second chance at life. And like you and the firm plays a huge role in that.
Yeah. Well, you play a huge role in our lives and the company's lives, our clients' lives. And we can't thank you much for being who you are. And to everybody listening, like, no matter what you are going through, like, you can control how you react to situations, like what you do every single day to impact the people that you care about, to impact others, to impact yourself. And like, you can always make an impact. You can always fight. You can always win the day and have that win the day mentality, which we talk about all the time. And you are a like sterling example of perseverance, discipline, relentless work ethic, and just taking full ownership and control of your life. And I think everybody should try to be a little bit like Gabby and take a page out of your book. So I definitely want to give you like one last chance. Like, are there any like groups that you would tell people to support or anything like that? I know Lymphoma Ladies has been an incredible resource for you and others across the country. Is there any other groups that, you know, someone could go to if they need some support or help or anything like that?
So Lymphoma Ladies is for women in, you know, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s that have either non-Hodgkin's or Hodgkin's lymphoma because treatments are similar. There is a group called YASU here in Pittsburgh for young adult Survivors United, I believe. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. It's for young adults with any type of cancer. They do a lot of events. They do a lot of get-togethers, whether it's Zoom or in person. And I think it's also a great group to join. I've never been a member of that group. I've heard great things about it. I found my support group with Lymphoma Ladies, but I don't know what people out there are going through, and that's a second option definitely to go to.
Awesome. Well, I know if you have any questions or looking for a mentor or a resource, I'm sure Gabby would be there for you to just provide guidance, ask questions. So find her on Instagram, shoot her a DM, but more importantly, if you want a mentor with business and being a high-performance individual, that is Gabby. So, Gabby, thank you.
Thank you, Gabby.
It was a great conversation, and as much time as we spend together, I still learned additional things about you I don't even know. So, like, you're like full go business all the time. So you're like constantly an onion that like Nick and I are peeling back, learning more about you. But thank you for being you. We could not be happier that you are here, and we look forward to all that the future holds.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you both.
Thank
For
you.
sure. All right. That's a wrap. Tune in to next episode. Until next time, stay disciplined.